Hi all. So this is Purnima. Today we are going to discuss about how product managers can drive the business growth. And I would like to thank Product School for giving this opportunity. So a quick introduction about myself before we jump into the topic. So I'm an alumni of the Indian School of Business. I have done my MBA there, and I have around 6 years of product management experience. Majorly worked in e-commerce companies. I was with the Make My Trip group, Redbus earlier, managing their portfolio for Peru and Colombia bus business before I moved to Amazon, and currently work as principal product manager for Amazon. I take care of the product roadmap for their online payments for external merchants and based out of India. So today we are discussing about how product managers can help in business growth. Now let's try to understand what is the importance of this topic, or how is this different from the regular product management profile we all take care of. So if I ask you, what do you do as a product manager, the regular answer on the profile would be that product managers are very customer focused. We try to understand the pain points of the customers. We try to solve them with the minimum viable product to begin with, and we try to keep on iterating on the solutions. We try to prioritize the features with engineering team, and different cross-functional collaboration happens there. And on top of it, we also try to drive the adoption of these solutions or the products which we launch, and we try to form the right metric there and monitor the metric to see that the product is adopted quite well for the customers. And as I said, while doing all this, we regularly collaborate with marketing, sales, operations, customer care. So yeah, we try to wear different hats as we go through the product management life cycle. So how does this entire story of being customer focused tie back into the growth of business? Let's try to understand that a bit better. So we all read that happy customers who are satisfied with your product, they help in the growth of business. But how do you actually measure it? The typical metric there is that what is your new user percentage versus your old user percentage. So if you're getting 100 customers to your platform, how many of them are coming as new customers and how many of them are repeating because they really liked your product? And the other way of looking at it is, what is the source of acquisition for these customers? Are you paying for each customer visit, or is the product having a good brand recall on customer that they're organically coming to you because they really like the product? Or are they referring the product to their friends or peers? Is your NPS score, or is your net promoter score, as we call it, is that higher, so that you don't have to work on spending on each and every customer to come to your platform? So the overall story which we are trying to stitch is, hey, here is my product which is quite good, which is quite loved by customers, but how is that driving your business growth? How do you measure that it is driving repeats for your product? So that is the intention of this session, which we will discuss going forward. So as I said, in order to make sure that your product is loved by customers and they are coming back and visiting you, you need to form multiple alliances with other cross-functional teams. And the number one team there is the marketing team, who look into different layers of business growth. And at least I believe that a great product is marketed out there for solving the customer problems, if the product and marketing teams are quite in sync, if you look at various steps in the funnel of or various points in the customer's life cycle. So one is that how are you acquiring the new users? So you need to understand with the marketing team on what is the cost of acquisition, what is the channel of growth. Typically it is divided into organic or brand level traffic or paid traffic. So understand this breakup first, depending on how many years of business your organization, or how many years of years of business your product is into. If you are very fresh in the market out with your product, then probably you will spend more on acquisition, and you can help your marketing team to optimize that. The second is about the activation, that is to understand how easy it is to use your product. Are customers really seeing the value and coming back to you? In that case, your conversions will be better, and if you see that your new user traffic is higher compared to your repeat user, you will optimize your product funnel accordingly. And hence I was telling you that you need to form a strong alliance with your marketing team to understand where to optimize in your product funnel. And the third part is about the retention. So here it's again important to see how what is the frequency of your purchase. For example, if you are launching online bus tickets for your customers, let's say there are 2-3 competitors in the market, you need to understand what is the share of your product on customers money. So what is the cart share is what is what we call. If customer is taking 10 trips in a year, how many trips is the customer taking with you? Are you able to retain the customer, repeat the customer, and not let the customer churn to other competitors? This is the intention of measuring the retention. So one valid input there is keep doing customer surveys, try to look into the market reports to see where how much market share you are occupying currently, and how much of more bandwidth is available, how much of gap you need to cover. Then the other important point here is to understand the customer from marketing teams perspective as well, that where are they concentrating on? Is it students or working professionals? Who is the actual customer where we need to grow the business? For example, in case of travel, let's say an Uber or a Make My Trip or any other bus ticketing company which is selling tickets online, for instance, you would want to see, is the customer traveling over weekdays or weekends? Is the purpose of travel for visiting family, or is it for official purposes? Is it a sales guy who is traveling for generating more leads, or is it a student who is traveling for different events of college? So based on that, you can form your product offering as well. So in the former example I was giving, if you see that students are traveling a lot for, let's say, college festivals, you need to understand that campaign from the marketing team and tweak your product accordingly. That maybe you will launch a referral program for that campaign, or maybe you will have a banner during that college festival highlighting different travel opportunities which are there on your homepage. So you can build features, you can enhance your product accordingly. And the next most important thing is to time your release cycles or product enhancements in collaboration with marketing team. Let's say there is Christmas coming up, there is holiday season coming up, and there will be a sale announced by marketing team. You want to put up the creatives there, you want to put the banners up front on the homepage so that they get enough visibility. So these kind of collaboration or being in sync with marketing team really helps to understand the business and contribute as well for its growth. Now, the second most important stakeholder for you would be the supply team. So we are talking about e-commerce platforms typically here. So one side of it is customer, where you try to work with the marketing team as an alliance. The other side of it is the supply team, where you will work with the sales or the business development folks to understand the other side of the story. So here it's important to understand which product catalog has enough inventory, or which product catalog is lacking on the inventory, so that you prioritize your features accordingly. For instance, let's go back to the travel example which we were taking. If the supply team tells you that, hey, I'll take an example from India. Let's say from Bangalore to Mumbai, the inventory or the number of buses are great in number. Probably in your inventory list or in your search catalog, you will make sure that that route is getting enough enhancements, that route is getting enough traffic, you are giving enough visibility to the customer there. And if the supply team tells you that, hey, I'm not having enough inventory or enough number of buses in this short route, not many customers are traveling, probably you will reduce the visibility for that route, or you will rank that particular supplier down in the search funnel. Basically this collaboration helps you to prioritize the features. The other important input is, it's not always about listening to what supply team is telling on ground what is happening. You can as well pass your inputs on where the conversions are higher, better, or where the product pricing is lagging, or where the product input is lagging. Let's say you have a route where the bus tickets are double the price to be purchased online compared to any purchase which can happen offline by directly going to the bus agent and purchasing it. So you can get this data analysis done, and you can inform the supply team that, hey, our inventory on the platform is not up to the mark, we are lagging behind on the price. Here is the survey I conducted with the customers, and here is the data which tells that a lot of customers who are visiting the funnel, they are getting dropped by seeing the prices. So this is my entire conversion funnel from the time customer has visited to customer searched for a particular bus, to how he or she is paying and converting to the final order to be placed. So if you give the visibility of this data, it helps the supply team as well. So that is about the alliance formation with supply teams. Then coming to the metrics, while we all concentrate on improving the metrics as product managers, I think where we tend to deviate is that we try to launch the MVP, and because of a lot of constraints on technical bandwidth, or sometimes not knowing what to do next for further product penetration, we tend to drop the ball there a lot of times. So it's important to form that roadmap as in when you are iterating, and have a goal for that MLP, so that you are not just launching features for marking in the checklist. You are actually going there and building the MLP, the most lovable product version for your end customers, and have real goals on end transactions, not just on your product adoption, but try and pick goals for yourself on end business, end revenue, or end number of transactions which are happening on the platform. That's when you really get that motivation to work with different teams and reach that MLP. Otherwise, if you just stick to your product conversion goals, maybe the motivation to build the MLP version will drop on the go. And hence I was telling you that and it's also important to define which customer segment you are going after. Lot of times we define the product and we are not clear about who is the customer we are chasing. Going back to the previous example, if we are building let's say a bus ticket booking funnel online, so we need to be very clear about, at least in the beginning stages, that is it the student, is it the working professional, is it the sales guy we are chasing. If we have these answers clear, it helps overall for driving the business there. And it need not be restricted to the customer. It could be different layers of the product as well, that if you don't need to optimize the entire bus booking funnel. You can even concentrate on which particular source to destination pair you want to let's say target on. For example, for bus booking funnel, there could be long routes, there could be short routes, there could be overnight journeys, there could be holiday destinations. So it's important to concentrate on that particular segment, take the right goals there and keep chasing. So yeah, that is about the metrics and driving them. And the other important thing is, it's not always about building a new product and launching in the market. A lot of times we complain that it's a regular complaint that we don't have enough engineering bandwidth to launch a particular product. We are short on the resources or the headcount to launch a particular product, but we need to do a little bit of introspection there, that sometimes it is about penetration of the product as well. We need to work on the right CX and the right design experience which we are giving to the customers. We need to concentrate on the usability of it as well. So it sometimes it could be as low hanging fruit as just changing the call to action buttons, or changing the order of showing inventory, or let's say we can talk about the example of showing different payment instruments on the payment page. It could be as simple as showing the right credit card instrument on top of the payment page. We don't need to worry about having the right payment gateways or the payment wallets, whether you have Stripe or PayPal or PayU in the market. Maybe that doesn't matter as much as giving the right payment option to be surfacing for the customer at the right time. So yeah, it's not always about shipping the product. It's more of how far you can go for understanding your customer and doing the experimentation there. So as I was telling, you can even form programs along with your marketing teams based on the core product which you have. So once your product is launched, it's more about understanding along with your marketing team and supply team and sales teams that which segment you are focusing on, and how can you improve on that. And you can collaboratively form programs with them. For instance, in the previous example which I was giving, if there is a college festival going on for students, and if they want to travel a lot, or if there is a football match going on and a lot of people want to visit a particular place for a tournament, you could probably run a referral program inside the universities. You can go viral by concentrating on particular customer segment, and promoting this particular program for that customer segment would make a lot of benefit for the business, rather than just building new products or concentrating on how to launch new products into the market. So as we were talking about product penetration, it's very important to not have your own biases that feature A will work better than feature B, or customer segment 1 is more important than customer segment 2. When we do not know the answer, the best thing is to accept it and experiment. And experimentation as such is a very important skill. A/B testing, as we all call it, it's important to define the right control groups. It's important to define the right test groups and understand when to stop the experiments, how long to do the experiments, and defining the right metric there, right success metric there for the experimentation, and also define some guardrails so that you know if the experiment is going in the wrong direction, you know that, hey, you need to stop it here, it's not working out, there's no point of trying to prove your point by launching something which is not required by customers. So yeah, overall we were talking about a lot of collaboration across cross-functional teams. So what are some of the important tools here for understanding the customer as well as collaborating well with the with your peer teams? So the number one tool which comes in very handy is Google Analytics. So I always found it very useful to understand customer behavior, and I mean, it's up to you which tool you are more comfortable with. You can have your own internal tools if you are a big organization. Large organizations typically have their own tools for checking the analytics on who is the customer, which inventory they are buying, what is the repeat rate, which geography they belong to, what is the demography of the customer. So it depends on your organization and your comfort level, but I have used Google Analytics a lot. The second most important thing is data analysis, data visualization. This is important because when you have to convince your partner teams, one thing is about your rapport with them, about your communication skills and how you establish your interpersonal skills. But when it comes to techniques, it's very easy to communicate if you have data, if you have graphs or charts, and you don't need to go for very complicated tools. Something as simple as an Excel would give you great insights if you know how to use them in the right way. It's not about the tool as such, it's about the right metric identification and highlighting the graphs in a way that everybody can understand. And I would suggest that do not go for any complex metrics or algorithms there. The more simple you make it for people to understand, the more trust you will earn with folks around, that you are trying to explain them, you are wanting them to understand your point. So that will give more trust. And as they always say, if you can explain it in a simple way, that means you are more confident about it. And the third part is experimentation. It's you can again have your internal tools which you can develop with your engineering team, or you can again do it with any of the tools which are provided by Google, or there are multiple in the market. I wouldn't recommend one particular one here. Then the last important thing I found is project management tools, where you give visibility to the entire teams across, showing them your product releases, where your sprint status is, and anytime if people want to look at what is going on with the engineering team, what are you up to, what release is planned, it becomes very easy for them to gauge through your own roadmap. So yeah, so these are the tools which were handy for me in order to gain the trust across teams. I would like to hear what helped you, and what kind of challenges you faced with any of these tools. That would be great inputs for me to learn as well from you. So yeah, that's where we are in today's discussion. I hope you found it useful. Bye.